consultant at A to Z Sleep Solutions. Okay, let's get straight into our questions because we've got some good ones today. Samantha says, my newborn is 4 days old. Congratulations, Samantha, on your new delicious newborn. We've been working on getting nights and days turned around, but during the day she's will nap 1.5 to 2 hours, and at night all of a sudden it's just 45 minutes. The longest night stretch we've had is 1 hour and 20 minutes. We use a bassinet, a halo swaddle, and white noise. How do I help her learn to sleep longer at night? Okay, so 4 days old is really little. We do know that your milk's just coming in, and so the main focus for us is to be able to make sure that you're establishing your feeding and then kind of getting enough nutrients. When we talk about sleep and how do we change those days and nights around, the main thing is lots of light, lots of social interaction, and lots of feedings throughout the daytime. So make sure kind of during the day when you start your day, I work on a 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. kind of nighttime routine. At 7 a.m. we're going to get our baby out, we're going to feed, kind of get them out into the light, have lots of kind of noise, tummy time, no diaper time as well, and then you kind of swaddle them and settle them off to sleep. And I think it's really great. About every hour and a half is about as long as what we wanted them to sleep, because we want to make sure that they're feeding, because we want to get all that milk through, because the more that they demand, the more that your supply starts to regulate, your milk comes through as well. So they're the main things. At nighttime, what we're going to do is keep it nice, dull, dark, and boring, okay? So we're not going to talk. We're going to keep the kind of the noises down, no televisions, no lots of lights and stimulation. Make sure the environment is dark as well, and then just kind of keep them swaddled. It does take time. It takes a good 10 days to 2 weeks to change their days and nights around. So lots of the time, shushing, kind of padding as well, and really helping. But for now, keep going. As I said, this is a real huge big part, because often this first week they can lose about 10% of their weight, which is really normal. So we're really just focusing on establishing feeding and getting that sorted before we focus anything around at nighttime as well. So keep going, mama, keep enjoying that beautiful newborn as well, and those days and nights will definitely start to trend. From Samantha, her question is 9 months too late to introduce a sound machine? I'm hoping it will help him stay down when he wakes in the middle of the night. Absolutely not. I say, and I recommend white noise for a good kind of 2 years of age. So start to have it in the room to be able to help. If you have a lot of outside noises and interruptions as well, using one outside of the room and also in the room can be able to help with the transitions throughout the night and them linking the sleep cycles as well. So I think that's really great. Definitely not too late, Samantha. Okay, Emily Corbett asks, how do I feel about crib teats? So I think for me, I'm going to put my nursing hat on, and we kind of talk about any changes that are made to the crib. It really comes down to a big safety, a safety aspect. The cribs are tested as is, and so whenever we make any changes, then it can affect the safety rating on your little one and on the crib as well. So I think that's the biggest part to be able to look for. I do know there's different parts in regards to, like, the slumber pod makes like a tent that goes over a pack and play as well, so that kind of makes sure it's in it, and it's there to be able to create a dark environment when you guys are away and traveling as well. So I think for that definitely serves a purpose. But I think adding like an actual tent, I do feel like safety does have a huge big key play into it. But I think you would have to do a lot more research into it and kind of what hazards come about when you're introducing that as well. So that's an awesome question from Emily as well. So I'm now going to go to Instagram, and we're going to check out the questions that we have today. I know there were quite a few families that sent us through some great questions today on Instagram as well. Look at that, there's a good 10 of them as well. So let's have a look here. So from anhfluencer, the question is, my 6.5 months old sleeps through the night 11 to 12 hours. Woohoo, fantastic. However, every time she wakes up, she cries. She usually naps 3 times a day, 1 to 2 hours. Why is she crying, and how can I change this? Is it normal, or is it a bad habit? I usually get her right away when she sleeps over an hour. When she wakes sooner than that, I wait about 5 to 10 minutes. So I think you're trying to say every time she wakes up, she cries. You know, for some kids, that's just their temperament, you know, and so it's just, you know, it's just a way that they've just learned to wake up. You know, it's not about that they haven't had good restorative sleep. You know, there are some kids who wake up talking and kind of chatting. Remember, crying's their form of communicating. So if she's obviously waking up and communicating, hey, I'm awake, I'm hungry, then that's okay. It's probably a part of her personality. She may be kind of that child that's like, hello, come on, come get me, mama. You know, and that's really, really fine. And I think it's taking that step back and looking at the whole picture. She sleeps absolutely amazing at nighttime. She's napping 3 times a day, which is absolutely fantastic. You're going to start to find that her naps are going to start to transition around the next month or 2, and she's going to transition from 3 naps down to 2 naps. So really focus on for this is that lunchtime nap being nice and long for a good kind of 2 hours, and keep that 3rd nap of the day nice and short. So when she's ready to phase out from 3 to 2 naps, it's a nice easy transition for you as well. Okay, so we've got Angela asks, what are your opinions on sleep aids such as essential oils or things like Docatots? Okay, so when I come down to sleep, once again, I'm going to put my pediatric nurse hat on. Safety is a huge, big key factor. So anything like sleep positioners, so we're talking about slings, the old rocket plays, Docatots, we really need to consider those safety aspects when we're putting them in the crib. All of those products have not passed testing, you know, for sleep, and they will all say on them they are for supervised sleep only. So that means that they can be used for sleep, but someone must be watching them while they're actually sleeping as well. So I think we actually need to start coming away from using things, you know, in their cribs and making sure that it is safe, that it is bare, and we just have our little ones in their cribs as well. A big reason we're looking at this is when we're talking about teaching our little one how to self-settle, we're wanting to give our little one the ability to move around, to roll, to maybe go on their side, to go on their tummy, you know, and so all of these sleep positions like Docatots actually prevent this, you know, and so this is the big things that we need to look at it. And then when we talk about safety, like those sleep positioners, okay, that's got a bit of my tongue around, we actually need to start being aware and talking about like that carbon dioxide rebreathing. So what happens is it hasn't passed those safety tests because their mouths kind of, when they're turned to the side, it's not breathable material, okay? And so when our little one is exhaling the carbon dioxide, they in turn could be rebreathing it as well. And so that actually draws concerns. That's why they are not considered safe for sleep in full-time sleep, and it's only for supervised sleep. So, and then kind of essential oils. I think essential oils, I definitely know there are some different ones to be able to help calm down our body's natural part. So when you're kind of looking at maybe lavender, you know, on kind of bath times, I would definitely make sure and kind of investigate and make sure that it's safe to actually put on our little ones' bodies as well, and then making sure your room is set up for success and being able to use them in like a diffuser as well on that part. Okay, so we've got N Hart is talking, her question is, my 22-month-old puts up the biggest fight at night time to go down to sleep. She's been out of her crib for 2.5 months. She keeps climbing out. She runs back to her bed when she hears us coming, and after her fight, she falls asleep in bed. She tells me that she knows where she's supposed to be. Oh, that tells me that she knows where she's supposed to be. That time she doesn't put up a fuss at all. She sleeps from 8 o'clock at night till 7:45 a.m. and naps from 1 till 3. Maybe her naps is too long and she's just not tired enough. I'm running out of ideas. Any tips or thoughts onto why she fights us? Or is this really common for a 2-year-old sleep regression issues that's taking place really early? Really good question. So I'm just working with a 24-month-old at the moment who the exact same thing was happening as well. A big part of when we're looking at just around that 2-year-old development is they have not developed impulse control, okay? So she does not understand boundaries. She's got no control of her impulses. So it just turns into a game. And really what they're wanting to achieve is they're just wanting you. So if we can look at what ways can we get our little one back into a crib, number one, that's going to be your huge big key factor. Can we put them into a sleep sack? So my 24-month-old that we're just working with is we put him back into a sleep sack, and he's a really big boy. Put him back in a sleep sack. He fought sleep for 7 minutes, did not climb out of his crib, and is asleep for 12 hours the last 2 nights as well. So try to think, how can I stop her from climbing out of her crib and turning this into a game? Can I use a sleep sack? Can I use a sleep sack and maybe put a tight fitting top over top so she can't get her arms out, she can't unzip it? That's going to stop the fight, because what they're needing those clear boundaries around, because when they have those boundaries, they're going to be able to settle down and calm down and be able to fall asleep, okay? When our little ones, when safety does become a huge big part and that we just cannot keep them into a crib, we need to create their whole bedroom into be like a physical barrier and a physical kind of crib in a sense. So remove all the toys, remove all the books, make sure all of the big furniture is bolted to the walls. Get her bed, whether it's a Montessori style, so a mattress on the floor, or just turn it into a toddler bed. So set your room up for success. And then often what I say is using a physical barrier like a really extra tall baby gate at the door will help give you that physical barrier, so we stop fighting sleep and it stops turning into a game, and she will be allowed to be able to settle down for sleep. I think your timings are really good. I would actually try capping that nap to an hour and a half. So let's nap from 1 till 2:30. I think that's fantastic. Let's bring bedtime 5 hours later. So let's aim for bed to 7 to 7:30 and see how she goes with that as well, because we want to make sure we get her into bed before she gets overtired, because an overtired baby has a surge of adrenaline and cortisol, and that creates that fight to be even bigger and even harder. And then just make sure that last kind of hour as you're settling her down as well. So make sure that the lights are starting to kind of go low and you're kind of having that predictability and that same structure and routine as well. They thrive on predictability. So as long as your routine is staying the same, that will allow that fight and that regression that she's in to be able to settle down. For more tips, check out my amazing toddler and preschool workshop to be able to help give you more tools and more tips to be able to get you through this part as well. Okay, so Mary Claire Johnson, how to night wean and resettle a 7-month-old who wakes twice a night and takes comfort from her bottles. Even just water can settle her. We would really love to adjust this habit. She generally settles well and independently for naps and bedtimes. Nighttime wake-ups are screaming. Thank you. Okay, so some big parts is around this month, we are just nearly about to say that your little one should be sleeping a good 8 to 12 hours. Sometimes around 7 months, depending on solids intake and if she's getting enough protein, she may still need 1 feeding throughout the night time, but she definitely doesn't need 2 feedings as well. So kind of break your night up to 1 feeding no earlier than about 5 to 6 hours. Then you need to find a self-settling technique that suits your parenting style. So that means that you're going to know that you can do it and keep being consistent, but then making sure that it works with her temperament. Now, these are really 2 keys. Often some babies are needing more touch and needing you to physically help them fall asleep with kind of that padding, that shushing, and that proximity to help them soothe. But there's some babies who are like, whoa, mama, please don't be in the room. If you're going to put me in here and let me resettle, just give me that time and that space. So whatever you do, you need to make sure that you are really consistent and keep going and going until she manages to fall asleep. Yes, this may mean on night 1, it may take a good hour, an hour and a half to go down to sleep. But as long as you are consistent, you will start to see the resettling falling into place as well. And you will start to see those night times consolidate, her link in the sleep cycle, and she be acing that. And then just stretch it. So once she does 5 to 6 hours, we're going to stretch it to 7 hours night 2. 8 hours night 3, and let's see how well she can do. If she's still needing one feed, remember that's okay. Until she's established on 3 solid meals a day, eating good protein sources for lunch and dinner time, that's when we know that we can drop that last feeding a night. And that's around about the 9 months of age. But up until then, she may generally still be hungry and still needing one feed as well. So hope that really helps you guys. Okay, so Natalie says, my 5.5-month-old has all of a sudden started waking every hour throughout the night from 1 a.m. It takes me about 5 to 10 minutes each time to settle him, but it's really frustrating. Sometimes it's just turning him to a side, and sometimes it's putting his dummy in. We put him down at 7 o'clock, we dream feed him at 11, and then he wakes properly at about 5:30 a.m. We're trying to put him down for a nap an hour in the morning at around 10 o'clock, a 90-minute nap at 1ish, and then a cat nap between 4 and 5. Please help. Okay, so having a look here, it looks like he's napping really well, which is fantastic, that we kind of want to be able to see. I think he does a really long time. If he's waking for the morning at 5:30 a.m., we really want to be able to stretch that out to 7 o'clock. So he down at 7, but he should be up at 7, because at the moment he's only getting 10 and a half hours overnight. So you could be in a little bit of an overtime cycle as well. That last cat nap between 4 and 5 is fantastic. Cut it short, make sure it's only 20-30 minutes or so. That's really great. Okay, and then let's look at nighttime. So a baby who is reliant on the dummy, I love how you wrote dummy. It must mean that you are not in America, because we say dummy in New Zealand. They say pacifier here. So a baby who cannot replace his dummy, it takes up until about 7 to 8 months for them to be able to learn to find their pacifier and replace it themselves. Any time beforehand, what you're actually needing to do is you're actually needing to replace it for them, because they do not have the ability to find and replace it. I would say about this time, you could actually lose it altogether. So I say I replace it once. Once you've replaced the pacifier, all you're going to be doing is teaching him how to resettle. Because if he's only resettling with you using the pacifier, then that's what's going to keep you doing. Every time he goes around and comes up trying to leak that sleep cycle, because he has a sucking to sleep association, he's always needing you to be able to replace that. And up until, it's going to take another couple of months till he can be able to find his pacifier in his crib and replace it himself. So when I kind of talk about teaching our babies how to resettle when they have a strong pacifier association, I replace it once, okay, and then we're going to do the resettling, and then for that rest of that time that they're awake, we are going to give them the opportunity to self-settle themselves. So we've got to find that medium part, because if we keep replacing it, they're never going to learn how to self-settle themselves. And then this is when we let's find a sleep coaching technique that suits you. You need to find something that you can do and you can be really, really consistent. And then we need to be able to help our little one, what suits them and their temperament as well. They're the two important pieces when choosing a sleep coaching technique as well. The other clue is sometimes dream feeds don't work. And often the tail sign is that if we're dream feeding them at 11 o'clock, if they're waking 2 hours later, that actually comes to show that those dream feeds aren't actually helping. Because the whole point of the dream feed is to be able to help extend their night. So from that dream feed, they should be able to do 7 to 8 hours themselves rather than waking. So maybe try not just the resettling technique, but maybe let's take out the dream feed and allow him to settle from 7 o'clock. And if he can do maybe 6 to 8 hours, have one feeding, and then continue to resettle into the morning time, that would suit you much better as well. Okay, so JFER147. So my 1.5-year-old screams before falling asleep for his naps or bedtime. Sometimes this lasts a couple of minutes, sometimes it lasts 15 to 20 minutes. This behavior seems to come and go. For a couple of weeks, things will be fine. Then all of a sudden, we're back to crying and screaming to fall asleep again. Why is this happening? He'll also will wake up screaming after 30 minutes when we try to nap at other people's houses and won't go back to sleep. At home, he'll normally sleep for 1.5 to 2 hours usually. There's just so much crying involved with nap time. It's wearing on me, and I hate seeing him to fall asleep like that. oh, sweet mama, I totally get that. And just, just that crying, it's just the way, like Mother Nature, it's just how we are, and seeing our little ones crying, especially all day, every day, for every nap and bedtime, makes us feel like we're doing something wrong, even though we know that they need the sleep. So a couple of things I want you to check. I'd love you to check to make sure that you guys have that same routine. Something that you do for every nap time and every night time as well. So I kind of look at, you might do kind of your feeding routine, you might go for naps, go out for a little bit of walk time before you come down, come inside, you're going to read some stories, put him down into his crib nice and awake, maybe play peekaboo if he has a nice lovey or something that he's really attached to. That's some really important things. Predictability and routines are so important, because this is what's going to make him feel really safe and really secure. Often we can start to see around 15 months, which is, around 18 months to 2 years. We can start to see a regression with sleep, and that separation anxiety, age and stage, starts to rear its end again. And so it can be really hard, because we want our little ones to feel safe and to feel secure when they're going down to sleep as well. So make sure those factors are a really key part. Even introducing, it's not too late to introduce, a lovey or something that makes them feel safe and secure, and that's always constant. Often when I put my little one down to sleep, I like play peekaboo when he's in his bed. I might just lay there and just rub his back. And if I do that maybe for a minute or two, because we want that, that tension or that anxiety to be able to fade away, to know that he feels safe and he feels secure in his crib before we leave as well. So that's a big key. And then make sure his room environment is nice and dark. Using white noise can help as well. Even at this age, you can be able to introduce that, because just having that constant sound and that familiarity will really help your little one kind of settle down as well. So I hope that helps. Sometimes just their temperament can also show after 30 minutes when they try to nap, because if that predictability isn't there, that can be able to cause that anxiety as well, of why he's waking up at that 30-minute mark too as well. So have a look and see how you can be able to change. Naps take longer than nighttime sleep, so keep working with him as well, and just really focus on being able to have that consistency through naps and through nighttime as well. Okay, and then our last question of today is, my 6 months old never used to fight her naps, but has been doing so for the past couple of days. We usually keep her up between 1.5 and 2 hours, read a book before bedtime. Now, as soon as we start reading, she starts fussing, presumably because she knows it's nap time. What are we doing wrong? Are we keeping her up too long or not long enough? We usually know that as soon as she starts to get fussy, she's tired. That's how it's been, at least. She's otherwise a really, really happy baby. How? And just once again, it's really hard to see our little ones kind of fussing and getting upset, especially when it's something that we do all the time. So at around 6 months, we're wanting to stretch those awake windows now. So I'd really like to see at least 2 to 2.5 hours between naps, and especially before going down to sleep, because we need to make sure that that drive to actually go down to sleep is actually really high. So around 6 months, around 6 to 9 months, our little ones enter this separation anxiety phase, and it's also starting to understand their object permanence. And what that development actually is that our little ones are starting to understand, hey, if I don't see you, are you still there? So this is why incorporating playing like peekaboo is a really, really great game for your little one. So they start to develop, even though I don't see you, mummy, you're actually still there. So have a look and start widening those awake windows between going down for sleep. But then when you're starting to do your routine as well, maybe just spending a little bit more time and kind of when you're putting her down in her crib as well, just kind of rubbing her back, just patting and shushing her, playing with her lovey, so kind of playing peekaboo game as well. And that will really ease that anxiety of, oh, my mama and daddy are leaving me, oh my goodness, can I do this? And it just helps it because she's like, oh, I know how to do this is really good. And also with that peekaboo part, now is a really great time to be able to introduce just something little for them to build that security. So I always love just kind of a really nice little wee lovey. So this is what I play peekaboo every night and every nap time with my little guy as well. I keep it little, so you want something by about 11 inches by 11 inches because it's a safety part. We want to make sure that they can't get caught up around and with the lovey as well. And then we want to make sure that it's breathable. So whatever loveys, if you have got given a whole pile in your baby shower, do the breathable test. So make sure when you can put it over their face, can they breathe in it? And that's a really huge factor because we want to make sure that if your baby's moving around or if they end up with it on their face, they're still going to be able to breathe through it. So that's going to help be able to have that sense of security, help ease that anxiety. To introduce the lovey, mama, if you wear it down your top for a couple of days, that will help get your beautiful scent that's familiar to her. When you're nursing or bottle feeding, just kind of get her to play with that, gesturing her fingers and everything as well, and then just be able to hand it to her when she's going down to sleep. And the more that introduction, the more those pieces, the more your little one will definitely sit down. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I love being able to come and answer your questions, and I look forward to seeing you guys back next Wednesday. Thanks guys.